we go. NHL Today, right here on SportsGrid. Mike Carver here with you. Of course, our weekly look around the National Hockey League as we get ready for tonight, round one of the NHL Draft. A tradition unlike any other. A little change this year, by the way. Everybody used to love the GMs and all the club executives would all be hanging out on the floor. They'd see who's talking to who. That's over with. It's become more of like the NFL Draft now. Everyone will be back at their own shops, wherever they are, and just the prospects will be at the draft, going up to get the big handshake from Gary Bettman and getting their sweater, etc., as they move along. And that'll be in Los Angeles later this evening. We got a big show for you here as we get ready for the draft tonight. We'll look at some stuff that we can maybe dabble with as far as draft markets and more. We'll start things off, of course, with our buddy Tom Vecchio from here on SportsGrid. He's been with us throughout the season on NHL Today, and now we get ready for a big night, Tom, not for your Rangers, but for my Islanders. That's right. The Islanders, of course, as we know, have the top pick in the draft. They won the lottery, jumped up from 10 to 1. It sounds like it's going to be this Matthew Schaefer, the defenseman from Erie in the O. But there's some chance there's some rumblings, Tom, that they're going to get involved in some other things, whether that's moving back into the top 5 to try to get Hagens. I love this Misa kid. I'm a little sad that they're not going to take him, but I understand taking Matthew Schaefer as the top pick in this draft tonight.
Yeah, and that could be the first domino to fall because, as you said, moving back into potentially the top 5, top 10, whatever it might be, there are reports that Noah Dobson may be on the move. So do they trade him with some future assets to get back into that top 10? That's what we could realistically see happening. It makes sense, okay, you move a defenseman out, then you pick a defenseman to kind of take his place and just have the team stabilize from there overall. I like Misa as well. I think the top end scoring is great to have. It is great to have a true blue liner that you could have for the next 10, 15 years, whatever it might be. But offensive talent is super, super hard to come by. And I saw a tweet from you a little while ago that that's the thing the Islanders have kind of been missing in recent history is we need that scoring punch. And him alongside with some Cole Eiserman, who they have coming up, that's kind of like the 1-2 tandem that you really need in the NHL.
You really do. And look, it's become, as you know, you're in the area too. It's become hot with the Islander fans about Hagens and the opportunity again. And my thing is, Tom, are they jumping through too many hoops? I don't have a problem trading Noah Dobson, especially when he wants $10+ million a year, which is what he wants. He asked for 11. There's talk he wants 10. And if teams like Montreal and Columbus are willing to give him that, well, then by all means, go ahead and have him. But I think that if I'm the Islanders, Tom, my number one priority should be to get the best return for what's a pretty good young defenseman in Dobson, whatever that is, whether that's current players or future, and not just make it all about I'm getting rid of him to try to get back in the top 5 to get this kid from Long Island, which is a great story. And a year ago, he was the top pick. I mean, you got a ticket on him to be the first overall pick. That's how good he was.
Yeah, I have a ticket on him for back in November, which obviously I don't expect to be coming true at this point. It's a situation where multiple things can be true. It's it is a great story to see Hagens from Long Island. He wants to play for them, group of fan, et cetera, et cetera. But as you said, you also don't want to be jumping through hoops just to fulfill this story. You also just want to be taking the best player available. You want to be getting back the best assets. And if you get a great trade package for Dobson and it's hey, we're going to give you a first and a second next year, that may not help them. They may not have enough time to turn those picks around to get back into the top 10. But if that's the best package available, you got to do what's best for the team. You got to do what's best for building the team back up. So it's fun to get a hometown player, as a lot of franchises would like to have. Hometown players often go back to their hometowns, whatever it might be. But I don't think you should be pulling too many strings just to fulfill a fan base need when you could just get another great player at a different draft position.
It's good for the PR team.
It is.
Tom. If you go, it's great for the PR. Now, just quickly, what did you get that Hagens at back in October to be the first?
I would have to check. It's not super long. It's only I think 5 or 5.
But that shows you right there how high he was on everyone's boards that back in October it was that good. There's no pretty much odds for number 1 anywhere because they all just assume it's going to be Schaefer, which is fine. But there's been some movement in this market for the second overall pick tonight. Everyone assumed Misa, but this Anton Frondell, the Swedish kid, has now moved in some markets as the favorite even, I've seen. In fact, the board we have has him favorite. It's moving around by the hour. One book I'm looking at has Misa now at minus 250 and Frondell at plus 145. Sounds like you might have, really from pick 2 on, anything could happen.
Yeah, it reminds me of the NBA draft, which we just saw a couple nights ago. We know who's going number 1. We have an idea that Misa's going number 2, as we kind of did with Dylan Harper. And then after that, that's where things get interesting. I think the Sharks would want to take Misa at 2. And then I think that's how it shakes out, right? Like, you want to pair him. Frondell, I think, is the guy that the Blackhawks want. They want some size alongside Connor Bedard. But the offensive upside that Misa brings that you could have with Celebrini and Will Smith, I think, is too much to pass up. So in my mind, I think the tiers are, it's like Schaefer's number 1, Misa's number 2. Then it's a gap to 3, 4, 5, and that's where things get interesting. But I think it should be Schaefer, Misa, Frondell, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and Frondell is right now, at least at the board I'm looking at this second, the favorite for the 3rd overall pick, which is Chicago right now, with Misa being the second choice if he were to slip there. The 4th pick is where the questions begin, because Utah is trying to make a statement, honestly, Tom. There's talk that they're one of the teams that would be interested in Dobson, but Dobson has said he doesn't want to play in the Western Conference. And you say, well, why should the Islanders cater to Dobson? Well, because he'll just tell the Western Conference team, I'm not going to sign an extension with you. So that's where he has a little bit of the power. But this Caleb Denoy's kid, this from the Q, the center, he looks to be the favorite right now, and he's minus 125, with Hagens at plus 325. So we finally see Hagens' name near the top of a board at number 4.
Yeah, I'm not anticipating Hagens to go there. I think Hagens' best spot would be 6, maybe 7. 7's obviously interesting because that's, the Bruins are picking at 7. He went to Boston College. Some of the reports that I've been seeing, and again, this is just partly speculation, partly reading the tea leaves, if you want to call it that. Hagens is a small dude, right? His comp is like a Jack Hughes, where he's a 5'10", like 180, 185 type of player. And we know that NHL GMs kind of prefer those bigger body centers that are 6'1", 6'2", whatever it might be. So seeing a Brady Martin or is it Caleb Denoyer or Porter Martone going in that combination, that's where I think we could see Hagens drop. Not that he's not good, because the skill will take him there, but he just doesn't have the size at a certain point.
And the funny thing is, Tom, like, you look at these markets, and it's just like the NBA draft, as you mentioned from the other night. They have Hagens at even money to be a top 5 pick tonight, but he's not the favorite for any of the top 5 picks. But they have him as even money to be a top 5 pick, but he's not the favorite for any of them. So wouldn't you just play him? If you really thought he was going to be a top 5 pick, you'd probably just take that 4 or 5 slot and play him at the plus money there.
Right, exactly. And his draft position price is 6.5, and that was over 6.5 was plus 104 yesterday. It was minus 132 this morning. It's down to minus 114. I would say over 6.5. I just don't think he goes. I think 7 with the Bruins would make sense. And again, this is also dependent on a Dobson trade. So things are changing. They've been changing in the last 24 hours, 4 hours. They will be changing up until, I don't want to say puck drop tonight, but first pick tonight.
We're going to do a lot of free agency next week, Tom. 30 seconds here before we go. It sounds like Marner likes Vegas a lot. Who doesn't? But it sounds like Marner really likes Vegas.
Yeah, Marner to Vegas, and if you like that, I think their odds are still 12 to 1 to win the Cup, so I would get a ticket in before free agency starts.
You would have to think they'd have to move someone out, right? Or are they just going to put Stone on long-term IR for the entire season?
We're moving things around. There's no trades happening with them. They're signing, and the cap magic will happen.
Now, look, they're announcing a new CBA at some point today, and allegedly they're going to try to eliminate that long-term IR loophole in the future. Tom Vecchio, great job as always here on NHL Today. We're back right after this on the Grid.
As we know, it's just we enter every year and it's, is this the Ravens' time? Is this Lamar Jackson's turn? Can they get past the Chiefs and all of these other, stalwarts of the AFC? But it's always really about Kansas City when we're talking Baltimore.
This potentially, Adam, as I send it back to you, potentially is a game changer in that you get a very talented at a discount price.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
We are seeing unbelievable temperature surges over the past couple days. So I wanted to ask you this question to let the people know, like, how do we account for that in our handicapping? Like, 2 good pitchers on the mound, but you look at a place like Wrigley Field, let's just say, 20-mile-an-hour winds blowing out, 90-plus degree temperatures. Is it almost like you say to yourself, you just have to fade the environment and not worry about the pitchers? Because if we're hitting fly balls, they're going yard.
Pro Baseball Today. Only on SportsGrid.
It was the first time, I think, in Dodgers history that the ballpark was full in the first inning. Everybody was there to see Shohei Ohtani throw his first pitch as a Dodger, and I had mixed emotions about this for a few reasons. Number one, it was a reminder of, wow, this is so crazy, right? You're watching him hit 98, 99, even 100 on the radar gun going, this guy's not human. Nobody should be able to be this good of a hitter and this good of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
I can't even believe I'm saying pitcher's battle and using the words Patrick Corbin. But can I tell you, Scott, he's a different guy. He's a totally different guy with the Rangers than we've seen.
I say this all the time. Don't worry about the first 5 innings. Like, don't even watch the first 5 innings in Texas Ranger games. Because for whatever reason, there's a ton of runs scored in the first 5, and then it just stops. It just stops.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back. NHL Today right here on SportsGrid, our weekly look around the National Hockey League. Mike Carver here with you. We get ready for the NHL Draft tonight in Los Angeles. The players will be there. The general managers and the executives will all be back at their home bases for the first time. They've now changed that. We used to love that. Everybody, as I said before, they all get out on the draft floor, see a couple guys talking in the corner. What's going on? We got to trade. Yeah, no more of that. They've gone the NFL way. Well, they'll all be on Zooms and cameras and things of the such. George Kurtz is with us because, look, I know what you're saying. We got 2 Islander fans here. What are we doing? And what's going? Islanders hold all the keys to tonight's draft now. With them having the first pick and them having, honestly, George, the most speculation even about big trades. Like, not only the Islanders have the first pick, but they have the player that is being talked about the most in Noah Dobson. That's the biggest name I've heard that could get traded tonight during the first round of the draft. So the Islanders, George, despite me and you being full-blown homers for them, and we don't have a problem admitting that, they do have the most juice in this draft tonight on several fronts.
Yeah, they're really controlling everything. Usually they got the number 1 pick. Well, that's pretty much a foregone conclusion that it will be Schaefer. And that pick is not going to be traded. All right, if anybody's not paying attention, they're going to trade Dobson, and they are going to trade Dobson. That's going to happen now before 7 o'clock Eastern tonight. They're definitely taking Schaefer. Although I know you said this too, and I'm kind of right there with you. Man, passing up Misa is going to be real tough, but they don't have a choice now. If you're going to trade Dobson, you got to take the defenseman here. But it is what it is there here. So we're waiting to see here. Pierre LeBrun reported about 17 minutes ago now that it's Montreal or Columbus. Those are the 2 teams that are the finalists now for Dobson here. And we'll see what they're going to pull off here, Mike. I know I just heard you talk about Tom Vecchio. All right, then. And by the way, Tom, it's still 3 championships to get a dynasty. 3, not 2. Okay, it's still 3. But I don't know if you guys remember. You guys are younger than I am. But years ago, the Vancouver Canucks pulled off a weird draft night trade to get the Sedin twins. And I wonder if we're going to see something similar tonight for the Islanders to get the Long Island boy Higgins. I don't think so. I don't think it's going to happen, but I wonder if that's what the Islanders are trying to aim for. But as you guys said, as Tom said, next year's draft much stronger. And at the Islanders, I got to assume they're going to get at least 1 first-round pick next year. Plus they got Colorado's, plus they have their own. So they would theoretically have at least 3 first-round picks next season.
Look, George, I want them to get, look, Higgins, it's a great story. It really is. And I still go back to the fact that a year ago today, he was the top-ranked guy on the board. And because he maybe didn't have the season at Boston College that everybody wanted him to have, he has allowed a couple guys to go past him on the big board for tonight. I just want to make sure you get the best return for Dobson, who, by the way, George, somebody wants to pay him $10+ million a year. Have a blast. All right, I think Noah Dobson's a very good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's a very good player. And if that's the kind of money that he wants, well, then God bless and good luck in Montreal or Columbus. But I want the right return for a player of that. I don't want to maybe take certain things just so that I make sure I get in the top 5. And here's the other thing, George, about the trade like that. You've got to make sure if you're doing this all to get Higgins that you get him. That's why this might be difficult to do until they're on the board. You know, there's teams are on the board tonight and they can move around. You can't make that trade at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and not know that he's going to be there at 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever it's going to be.
Agreed. If that's what they're doing this for, to get Higgins here. And something else would have to happen, right? Because to get, let's just say for giggles, Higgins is available at 4. I mean, I don't know if 2 number 1s is going to get you there. I just don't know if that's going to do it. So what else are you including there? So it's that's why I'm not so sure this is all being done for Higgins here. I would like him as well here, but you said it. He didn't have the greatest year here. By the way, Schaefer only played a handful of games as well here, which is why I'm probably a little nervous about him. All right, because he only played 17 games last year. That's why it scares me a little bit that we're taking him, or they're taking him. I don't play for the Islanders, so you know it's I used to have friends to call me out about that all the time. I ain't saying we fight. Do you play for the Islanders? Are you working? All right, fine. There. All right. So I try to not do that anymore. But it's going to be an interesting time tonight to see what the Islanders are trying to pull off here.
And I know you mentioned it quickly. I'm sorry. I find it difficult to pass on a guy who has the kind of offensive ability and skill that Misa has. Like, guys that could potentially score 50+ goals a season in the NHL, they don't grow on trees, and people who root for the Islanders have been begging for them to get a player like that for 30+ years, George. They have been waiting for the Islanders. And yes, they got Tavares, they got these. That's not what this player, this guy is a goal scorer. He puts the puck in the net at a very high rate. And it is tough to pass him by. Schaefer's a great kid. He's got all the tools. I'm sure he's going to be. And I hope you know what, George? I hope he's Cale Makar. I hope that's what the Islanders are taking with this kid at first overall. He's not going to be ready to play next year. It's going to be very interesting here. Other things around the league, George. You think any other surprises tonight? Maybe some guy, there's Utah seems to be very aggressive, wanting to try to put a little more of a stamp on their team. You've got Toronto maybe knows they're going to lose Marner, looking to do things. You expecting any fireworks tonight aside from the Islanders?
Oh, I think when you talk about Toronto here, that's more free agency, right? We'll worry about that next on July 1st here, about what they're going to do. Marner, Tavares. Marner's as good as gone, by the way. But Tavares is kind of interesting as well because they lowballed him, all right? About $4 or $5 million. He had a great season for them. He could easily in the open market get 8 to 9. But I think he will take a little less to stay with Toronto, but don't insult me. We're talking 6 to 7 here. Don't insult me with 4 or 5. That's not going to happen there. Marner's going to be a lot of fun. He's the best player on the market here, so we'll see where he ends up. I know you said Vegas with Tom here. And you said it right, though. I was doing crunching the numbers here. They got to get rid of about $8 million. $8 million. That's assuming that Marner takes a little bit of a discount because Vegas is a no tax. It takes $12 million a year, not 14. That's $8 million they got to subtract somehow. Not by Francie, by the way. You're allowed to go 10% over the cap during the offseason here. So we'll see how it happens, by the way. Also wanted to tell you that the CBA has been agreed to. NHL is going to have a press conference in about 34 minutes to announce that here. And Dobson, by the way, apparently has already agreed to a contract. $9.5 million is going to be the salary cap hit wherever he goes.
Wow. I even think 9.5 is honestly a little too much for him, to be quite fair. George, it should be a lot of fun tonight for Islander fans, that's for sure. NHL Today on the grid. We're back right after this.
What do you make of this price tag here reportedly, of $1.7 billion for a club that right now technically doesn't even have a home ballpark.
We don't see a lot of teams sold in Major League Baseball. I mean, if you go back to 2020, Steve Cohen bought the New York Mets for $2.4 billion. The only team sold since then was the Orioles last year, also for around $1.7 billion.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go with Cam Young at 30-1. I think it's a really nice course for him at the Rocket Mortgage in Detroit, Michigan for him. Wyndham Clark at 36-1. And I also like Alex Noren at 60-1.
Mike Morency, drunken Brett dart toss golf pick, which does win like 2-3 times a year, guys. Some insanely enough. But I'm going to say Matt Fitzpatrick.
Sports Rage tonight. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid.
I do believe that SJ now is the #1 player in the world. The things that he can do from the point of attack, offensively and defensively, his ability to drive downhill and score in all three levels. And the thing I like most about this young man at 26, he's so humble. He's so humble. And that speaks to the whole culture of OKC that Sam Presti and Mark Daigneault has built. Humble team, folks.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
And we are back. NHL Today, right here on SportsGrid, our weekly look around the National Hockey League. Of course, here with you as we get ready for the NHL Draft tonight, round number 1. So they do round 1 tonight on Friday night, and then 2 through 7 is always on Saturday. And look, I say this all the time, unless you are even the most die-hard NHL fan, couldn't pick 97% of these kids out of a lineup, especially the ones who get picked tomorrow in the 2nd through 7th round. You couldn't pick these kids out of a lineup. So there are some people who, they bang around, they watch a lot of junior hockey, watch a lot of college hockey, and those people are the extreme minority. For the most part, you're just taking it through all the draft nicks of whether you got good players or not. And even in these years, these kids in the top 5, I mean, most Islander fans, before they got the first overall pick, other than Hagens, they couldn't pick most of these kids out of a lineup either. But once you get thrusted into this big spot, suddenly everybody knows everything about the first round of the NHL Draft. I've been to a bunch of these things. I've been to several drafts live in person. People look around and go, who's that? Who's that kid? Because it's tough. You just have no idea. Now, there's a lot of stuff you could bet on tonight. There's lots of markets. We gave you a couple. You could still get that 2nd overall pick. We mentioned the 3rd overall pick, the 4th and the 5th at most books. They are. There's you go. 3rd overall, like we said, the Swedish kid Frondell is sitting there with Chicago. 4th pick, which is Utah right now. You've got a bunch of different options for that. You've got the 5th overall pick, which that Porter Martone is the favorite. And Hagens is plus 250. Now, I think that is going to be the interesting spot tonight in this draft because Nashville is picking 5. The Flyers are 6, and I don't see the Flyers allowing the Islanders to move up, take their spot. I mean, who knows? Maybe they would, but I think that 5th spot with Nashville is going to be the one that if the Islanders are somehow able to pull this off tonight and get back into the top 5 to take Long Island's own James Hagens, that spot number 5 with Nashville is the one that I would be looking at. In terms of a trade. Because Nashville needs assets too. They spent a lot of money last year, and it was all for nothing. And they need to start rebuilding from the ground up. But the Islanders are going to have to pull off some other Dobson deal in advance because Dobson's not going to go to Nashville or Utah. He's already said Eastern Conference. You've seen the reports. Montreal and Columbus would be the ones. Now, there's a few other things that have popped up here. I think we did have before. You can take guys in the top 5, which actually is changing by the second. I told Tom it was even. Higgins is now minus 125, and I've even got to be a top 5 pick, but yet not a favorite to be a pick anywhere else. And when you start getting into the 10 range, you look at that market for top 10 picks. You have to really kind of look at a bunch of the experts and the DraftNix mocks and try to see who's got the most guys maybe sliding in at 9 and 10 in the plus money. Whether it's the Victor Eklunds or the Jackson Smiths, the Carter Bears, guys like that. You want to have a little fun, take a little shot with some longer shots at the back of the 10 spot. That is where I would do it. They actually just put up a couple of other fun ones, and they really, only do this the day of the draft. Number of defensemen drafted in the first round, over under with 8.5, with plus money to the under. Goalies, which a lot of goalies don't go in the first round, over under 1.5, with minus 650 to the under. Swedish players is 4.5, with the under minus 425. So as the day goes on, if you're in a state that has got some draft markets in it, you might see some fun stuff pop up there. Of course, I'm in New York. I'm not in one of those states that has that, but you might be in some of them. So make sure that you check them out as we go forward. It should be a very fun night, especially if you are an Islander fan. Going to get Matthew Schaefer, and will they make the move to get themselves James Higgins as well? Very interesting to see if they could pull all of that off later tonight. We will be back next week. I know we've got the 4th of July holiday coming up, but we're going to be with you anyway because after the draft, you kick right into it. Free agency, July 1st in the NHL. Big names. Mitch Marner available. He's obviously the biggest of them all, but there's usually tons of player movement on July 1st. So we'll be back next week, and we will put a little bow on all of it to see where things stand after things shake up. 12-1 for Vegas. They seem like the favorites that are going to get Marner early next week. We shall see if that all goes down. Great job today, of course, by Tom Vecchio. Great job by George Kurtz. Of course, Tommy Reynolds and the crew back at home. NHL Today. Enjoy the draft tonight. It's really a big night for the New York Islanders. We'll see you next week. NHL Today on the grid.
We all know a night out at the club in Vegas can get a little bit pricey, but I've got a tip that can save you a cover fee at some of the hottest nightclubs. All you have to do is sign up online for free with a credible guest list service. Then, just show up before 10:30 and check right in. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
No way that I'm betting on the Cleveland Cavaliers for any reason whatsoever.
No.
Ever. Like, when they had LeBron James, it was a different story. I think Spider's great. He's no LeBron. I don't see him carrying them to a title. And I don't believe in the Knicks at all. The Knicks never get it done.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Kevin Durant, at the age of 36 years old, after 17 seasons that he has played in the NBA DRS, is now on his way to H-Town.
I don't think it's a great move. I wanted him to go to a ready-made championship team full of a veteran roster and see if he can ring chase that way. Not to go to an organization on the come-up that if you just stay the course, and also, what better blueprint do we have than just staying the course and safe, right?
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play. every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.